Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. Today we are going to discuss a subject which is somewhat divergent, somewhat different from our usual topics, but it is connected. It concerns the concept of justice, the application of justice, a one man's drive and efforts. I should not really say one man because he is in effect representing a great number of other people, and he has friends and associates and people who are equally concerned with him because he is a victim, he's a part of a victim, and there are others, and there are other family members of other victims, and some of them, God forbid, suffered more than he did numerically. And nevertheless, he is, in a sense, he's alone, and he is doing it on his own initiative with the help of others, and he is striving to bring a perpetrator of murder, of mass murder, to justice. His name is Arnold Roth, and we are going to discuss a little bit about him and about what brought him to this situation. In August of 2001, the centre of Jerusalem, the Sabaro restaurant, have them in America, have them all over the world. They serve pizza, they serve pastas, light meals. They're very popular with young people, and this was during the school holidays, on a summer day, and it was crowded. It's also, the Sabaro restaurant is at a very busy intersection in the centre of Jerusalem. So a Palestinian armed with a bomb, a deadly bomb, entered the Sabaro restaurant, and he blew himself up. He blew himself up and he killed 15 people in the process, and he caused 145 other casualties. The name of the perpetrator was Al-Masri. That's his surname. Al-Masri, Izzeddin al-Din Shu'ail al-Masri. The name Al-Masri in Arabic means the Egyptian. In other words, his parents, his grandparents, the members of his extended family, they came from Egypt. A lot of Palestinians came into Israel at a relatively late date. The Zionists in the 1880s, 1890s, and afterwards they began to build up the land. So too after the British Mandate in 1920 onwards, began to put money into the country, developing the country, so too the Jewish funds and the Jewish enterprises, and there was a lot of employment. So people started coming in, Arabs started coming in from all over the place, from Egypt, they came in from Syria, they came in from Lebanon, they came in from all over, and they settled here because there was work. And a lot of them, they had families, and a lot of Palestinians are descended from this very recent migration. So it was together with the Jews coming in, a lot of the Arabs came in as well. The Arabs were not here that long ago as a lot of them claim to have been. So even though a portion of them had been beforehand, but the Jews had been in the land before they were. At all events, this person, Al-Masri, was accompanied by a woman, Ahlam Tamimi. She was 20 years old at the time. She was a student at Birzeit University. She was also an announcer on a news program from Ramallah, the Arab city north of Jerusalem. And she was apparently a member of Hamas, even though the Islamic Front also claimed for her actions. She was an active member of Hamas. She's since been photographed talking to the head of Hamas, and she had picked out the target. She had chosen the Sabaro restaurant to be a target for this terror attack. She had met up with this Al-Masri, driven him to the place, shown him the place, taken him there, encouraged him, giving him directions, and then he had entered the place, and blown himself up a little while afterwards, leaving her to get away, go back to the Ramallah, and announce on the news concerning the explosion. And she described it as an action of the Palestinian resistance. Tamimi was arrested, she was sentenced, She received several consecutive life sentences, and in addition to that, more years of sentencing. She began to serve her term until in October 2011, the Gilad Shalit deal. The Gilad Shalit deal, for those of you who don't remember, Gilad Shalit was an Israeli soldier. He was an Israeli soldier being kidnapped from Israel, smuggled through a tunnel into Gaza, and he'd been kept captive. The Israelis had not succeeded in releasing him, and in the end they agreed to release 1,027 Palestinian prisoners who they held on charges related to terrorism or security, in exchange for Gilad Shalit. And Tamimi was amongst those who were released, and they were released on condition that they should restrain themselves, refrain from engaging in terrorist activities. Tamimi immediately went to Jordan, and there she married her cousin, and she hosted Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organisation. She hosted a television program on Jordanian television promoting terrorism, and sponsored by the Hamas organisation. So in effect she had violated the terms of her release. And not only that, there was a legal point that some of the victims in this explosion had American citizenship. This includes Malki Roth. Malki Roth was the daughter of Arnold and Freeman Roth, the personages that we are speaking about. And since Freeman was born in the USA, is a US citizen, so too Malki had US citizenship. And therefore she was a victim of a mass terror attack, and the US had legal grounds for asking for her extradition from Jordan. But Jordan did not comply. So this was not that long ago when the attempt was made, March the 14th, 1917. And now Arnold Roth is renewing, or together with others, is renewing the attempt to put this extradition agreement into practice in order that Tamimi should be returned to the USA and stand trial there. And this can be done legally, it can be done. And the State Department has in effect set the process in motion, but they're dragging their feet. They don't want to accept Jordan very much. And so Arnold is pushing for this, and he hopes that through public pressure or public interest, the US Justice Department will go ahead and push this matter, and perhaps something will come about it. So this is a worthwhile, an interesting development. It's worthwhile taking an interest in its own right. In addition to that, we ourselves have a personal stake in the union in the matter, insofar that Arnold Roth came from Australia. Arnold Roth was a friend of mine, of Yair Davidiy, when we were students at Monash University. Arnold was studying law and economics, and he graduated eventually. I did not graduate, I came to Israel beforehand. Arnold at the time was a popular student leader. He helped me in personal matters. He was a good friend of mine, a good friend of a lot of people. He was also an accomplished journalist. He wrote a popular weekly column for the leading Jewish newspaper in Australia. He was also, for a while, the president of the World Union of Jewish Students in Australia. And he was a well-known and a very much admired personality. And eventually he too, towards the end of his studies, he went to America. He went to Yeshiva University, where he supplemented his learning. And whilst he was in the USA, he met Freeman, whom he married. And they now have 7 children, including Malki, the daughter who was killed in the terror incident. And after that, he worked in computers. Arnold worked in computers, and then he came to Israel. In Israel, he headed several companies and different matters. He headed several companies, and then the terrorist took place. And his daughter Malki was one of the victims. Malki was only 15 years old at the time. She was a talented young lady, a promising young lady. She had a sister who had special needs. She dedicated quite a bit of her time to her sister, and she also dreamt of becoming a professional caretaker for people with that disability. And so consequently, the parents of Malki, in her memory, have established the Malki, the Karen Malki, the Malki Foundation. They've set up this foundation to help families with these special needs children, and to encourage them to take care of them within the home. And they've helped people, Jewish people, a lot of people in Israel. They've helped Jewish people, they've helped the Druze families, and they've also helped Arab families, and they continue to do so. In addition to that, Arnold runs this ongoing war, a website, this ongoing war. Look it up in Google, this ongoing war. And he brings news items and opinion pieces and interesting insights concerning the war on terror, concerning Arab terror in general. And this is what he does, this is what he has dedicated himself to doing, and this is a very valuable enterprise. And we encourage this, and we say it should be supported, but you may say so, very interesting, very nice. We all believe in justice. Justice is something which God has commanded us to do. We are commanded in the Torah to do justice. Doing justice was one of the reasons Abraham received the blessings. It says in Genesis 18, verse 19, "For I have chosen him, so that he may command his children and his household after him, to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that what he has spoken about him." So to Deuteronomy 16, verse 20, justice, justice, and only justice you shall pursue, that you may live and possess the land which the Lord is giving to you. Justice and only justice you shall pursue, that you may live and possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you. So too, Proverbs 21:15, the exercise of justice is joy for the righteous, but is terror to the workers of iniquity. And we have a special commandment concerning murder. Murder especially are we commanded to limit and to punish those who commit it. It says in Genesis 9:6, "Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man." So too in Numbers 35:31 we have, "You shall not take ransom for the life of a murderer is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. So you shall not put the land in which you are, for blood pollutes the land, and no expiation can be made for the land for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. You shall not defile the land in which you live, in the midst of which I dwell. For I, the Lord, am dwelling in the midst of the sons of Israel." So this is what we are commanded to do, and this is a commandment, and Arnold is fulfilling his commandment. So as we said, this is an union of justice, a worthy cause. But as we also mentioned, there are a lot of worthy causes, so you may say, why should we take a special interest in this? So that is just the point. That is just the point. We all believe in worthy causes. We all believe in justice. We all believe in doing the right thing. That we have our lives. You have to live. You have to get by. You have to work. You have your family. You have thousands of different obligations and things which you should be doing, which you have to do, and you don't always get around to doing them, and there's no real time for putting in things which even should concern you, but you do not, let alone something else. But we believe in it, and when someone stands up for it and goes for it and pushes it through, and doesn't relent, and keeps on going, and possibly achieves something, even if he does not achieve something concrete, he makes an impression. Just the very effort makes an impression. He is in fact our emissaries. He is acting on our behalf. He is doing what we should have been doing. He is, as if to say, helping us, fulfilling what we need to be done. And therefore we should appreciate it. There's another point before we finally close down. That is that this whole Tamimi case concerns the attempt by the Arabs to undermine the Jewish presence in the land of Israel, to undermine the very existence of the Jewish people, and this is not what God wants. God wants the Jewish people to be here. God wants the Jewish people to flourish in the land. He wants the land to be built up, and whoever goes against this will of the Almighty is liable to be punished. And we should do what we can to help this matter, to help the establishment of the State of Israel and the Jewish people in the land, and that includes defending the land from terrorists and bringing terrorists to justice when possible. And also, we should mention that in Deuteronomy 32:43 it says, "He will avenge the blood of his servants, those who are good people and have been killed for being good people. God will take a vengeance for them." It also says, "He that touches you," meaning, and this is in Zechariah 2:8, meaning anyone from the Jewish people, is especially referring this case to the Jewish people. "He that touches you touches the apple of his eye," meaning the eye of God, and will be dealt with accordingly. May the Lord God of Israel help all of us. May the Lord God of Israel bless you.